Hello, a lovely morning to all of you. This is Papi Amis and you are watching the online class of Ananda Multimedia School and College. Today I will teach you biology, and if you hear me attentively, all the topics will be crystal clear to all of you. And biology may seem like the simplest subject in the world to you. So, without making any delay, let's get started. Students, today we are on the chapter 11, Reproduction in Organism. And in this lecture, I will be discussing about the development of embryo. Can you say what is embryo? Embryo means the rudimentary or the elementary or the beginning stage of the multicellular organism. So it is the beginning of the life. And you know, the genesis means the development. So the development of the embryo is called the embryogenesis. And there is another word which is embryology. The study of embryo is called the embryology. The embryogenesis is related to some terms like the secondary oocytes, the spermatozoa, zygote, blastocyst, morula, blastula, implantation, and obviously the female reproductive structure. So first of all, we will have to have a clear concept about the female reproductive structure. For that, first of all, we will learn how to draw the female reproductive structure. Okay? Okay, student, follow me. Student, first of all, we will know how to draw the female reproductive structure. This is the ovary. Here is also another ovary. Now I am trying to draw the fimbriae, finger-like structure here. This is the radiated part, that means the extended part. Student, this is the structure of female reproductive unit or female reproductive system, right? This one is the vulva, and this is the opening of vagina. Opening of vagina. This is vagina, and this one is the uterus. This is ovary. This structure is the ovary. The finger-like, small finger-like projections are known as the fimbriae. And this structure is the isthmus. narrower part of the uterine tube is known as the isthmus. And the radiated part is known as the ampulla. Ampulla. Right, student? And the whole structure is the fallopian tube. I am writing in short, fallopian tube. And there are 3 layers. The inner one is known as the endometrium. Endometrium. And the middle one is known as the myometrium. Myometrium. And the outer one is known as the perimetrium. These are the 3 layers. So this one is vulva, opening of the vagina. This is vagina, and the internal structure is known as the uterus. It has 3 layers: endometrium, myometrium and perimetrium. After that, this is the ovary. It has 2 ovaries. And the narrower part of the fallopian tube is known as the isthmus. The full tube is known as the fallopian tube. The starting part is isthmus, and the radiating, that means spreading part, is known as the ampulla. And the last part of the isthmus and last part of the ampulla is known as the ampullary isthmic junction. And this is the proper site for fertilization. The finger-like projections, small finger-like structures, are known as the fimbriae. What is the function of fimbriae? Fimbriae catches the secondary oocytes from the ovary and send this to the fallopian tube, right? Okay, and I have completed the full structure. Now I will draw the secondary oocyte. Student, I am not mentioning like the ovum, because in the first stage it is not like the ovum. We will call it as the secondary oocyte, because this is the arrested phase. In the ovary there are follicles. From the starting follicle, if we name them, it is known as the primordial follicle, and after that this is the Graafian follicle. And from these Graafian follicles, secondary oocyte goes to the fallopian tube with the help of this fimbriae. The fimbriae sends the secondary oocyte from the ovary to the the fallopian tube. So we get the secondary oocyte from here. And now I will try to draw the secondary oocyte. Student, suppose this is our secondary oocyte and it has many layers. The outer one is known as the corona radiata. Why it is corona radiata? Because when it comes from the ovary, it brings some granulosa cells from the ovary, and these cells tend to be radiated. That is why they are known as corona radiata. The cells tend to be radiated like this. So these are known as corona radiata. After, what is its function? Its function is to give protection to the secondary oocyte. After that, the second layer is known as the zona pellucida. This is zona pellucida. It is a transparent jelly-like membrane made up of glycoprotein. It provides protein to the developing oocyte. And after that, this is the plasma membrane. and the space between the zona pellucida and plasma membrane is known as the perivitelline space. This space, it is known as the perivitelline space. And here is the nucleus. Here is the nucleus of the secondary oocyte. Nucleus. And this is the cytoplasm. This is the structure of secondary oocyte. After that, I will draw the spermatozoa or sperm. I am drawing here. I should draw here. Can you see, student? No, I am drawing here. Spermatozoa or sperm. This is the head of the sperm and this is the acrosome part. This is acrosome part. This is head. Okay, after that middle piece. This is the tail. This one is the acrosome. Acrosome. This is the head part. Head of the sperm. And this is DNA or nucleus, whatever you say. Both one is correct, DNA or nucleus. DNA or nucleus. This is the middle piece. And these are the mitochondria. Lots of mitochondria. And this is the tail. So these three structure was about the, which are related with the development of embryo. You should know the three structure. Without knowing this, you will not understand properly the embryogenesis or development of embryo. Students, is it clear to you? Now, in every ejaculation, 200 to 500 millions of sperms are ejaculated to the vagina. And in every ejaculation, 3 to 3.5 ml semen are deposited in the female vagina, right? And in this 3 to 3.5 ml of semen, there are 200 to 500 millions of sperms. But all the sperms do not reach to the isthmus for fertilization. There are some barrier or obstacles in the female reproductive structure to reduce the number of the sperm. And these obstacles are the blessings for fertilization, because we don't need all the sperms for fertilization. So the barriers here will act like the blessings. If I say about the barriers, I can say the female vagina, the internal wall of the female uterus is more or less folded. That means the endometrium is folded in nature. So a narrower space, this is suppose the uterus, and this is the inner layer is folded. So look, there is a narrower space. There is a narrower space. Through this narrower space, the sperms should have to swim through this area, and all the sperms are not able to reach through this area, cannot overcome the physical barrier. So here some numbers are reduced. Second one, the acidity or the pH of the vagina. It is acidic in nature, and this acidity kills many sperms. And number 3 is phagocytes. That means the female reproductive structure engulf some sperms. That's why numbers are reduced from the starting point. And again, if I consider about the advantages, and the advantages are, number one, the lashing movement. The lashing movement of the sperms. This movement helps the sperm to swim. This is the advantage. And number two, prostaglandins. Prostaglandins help the sperm to reach. What is prostaglandin? Prostaglandin means the backward compression. Backward compression, this contraction helps the sperm to rise upward. And this is a type of peristaltic movement, the backward contraction. And number three is the aspiratory movement, not aspirin, aspiratory movement. This aspiratory movement helps. What is aspiratory movement? That is the upward movement. Upward movement helps of the female reproductive structure, helps the sperms to reach the isthmus. How do the sperms reach? Through the opening of the vagina, through the cervix. I didn't mention the cervix. This is the cervix. Through the cervix, it enters to the uterus. After this, from this uterus, the sperms reach to the isthmus. What is isthmus? The narrower part of the uterus, not the narrower part of the fallopian tube. Narrower part of the fallopian tube. This is the isthmus, the sperms. That means from 200 to 500 millions of sperms, only more or less plus minus 100 sperms reach the isthmus. And the secondary oocyte waits for the sperm for fertilization. In this case, the vaginal secretion promotes to reduce the acrosomal plasma protein and also glycoprotein from the sperms. So the environment becomes much more fluidity and the suitable environment for fertilization is taken place. After that, what is happening? The environment is ready for fertilization, a fluid environment is ready, and now fertilization will take place. How? You know, all the sperms will not enter. 100 sperm will run together, but only the faster and active one will reach to the secondary oocyte, where the junction of the ampulla and the isthmus, that means the ampullary isthmic junction. Suppose all the sperms are swimming, they are trying to reach, and this is the junction, suppose, and secondary oocyte is waiting for the sperm for fertilization, and the sperms are entering. I have told that the faster and active runner will win and will get entry to penetrate the corona radiata and zona pellucida. What will happen? In the acrosomal part of the spermatozoa, there are two enzymes, hyaluronidase, hyaluronidase enzyme, and another is acrosin. These two enzymes help to penetrate the corona radiata, and after that zona pellucida. By this time our secondary oocyte also help in this act. How? It release ZP3, one type of glycoprotein, and this ZP3 protein helps in the penetration. So together ZP3 and hyaluronidase enzyme and acrosin penetrate first of all the corona radiata, after that zona pellucida, and it enter, and by this time other sperms also try to enter and we have to stop them. How? The internal calcium or intercellular calcium and also cortical granules from the secondary oocyte. Mind it, intercellular calcium and the cortical granules of the secondary oocyte also protect the wall and make a seal the entrance, the path of the entrance. They seal the way so that other sperms cannot enter. It has nucleus and centriole, nucleus plus centriole, right? And our secondary oocyte has cytoplasm and nucleus. So it has no cytoplasm and it has no centriole. Sperm has no cytoplasm and the secondary oocyte has no centriole, but for the division it needs centriole, and the sperm or spermatozoa donate the in arrested phase, it is in the metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. So it needs some centriole, and taking this centriole it completes its division, and through this division the secondary oocyte produces the ovum. Now we are getting the well known ovum and the secondary polar body, and this secondary polar body has little amount of cytoplasm, so it is of no use. We need the ovum because the ovum has lots of cytoplasm, and this ovum will make fertilization with the nucleus of the sperm, and with these two nucleus they will produce the ovum now. And after that, after the fertilization, we will get the zygote. Okay, student? Now what will happen? Zygote. After the 36 hours of the fertilization, the zygote produces what? I am erasing this and I am writing here. After 36 hours, suppose this is our zygote, it undergoes a special type of mitosis. It is known as the cleavage. What is the difference between cleavage and mitosis? Do you know? Cleavage is a special type of mitosis in which the size of the cells remain small gradually. Size of the cells become smaller gradually. But this is a type of mitosis. And in mitosis, you know, the cells, the daughter cells remain same as their mother cell. But in case of cleavage, the daughter cells smaller in size, gradually become smaller in size. And from the first, suppose this is the first cleavage, okay. At first cleavage we are getting two cell structure, 1 and 2, and after second, this is the second cleavage, we are getting from 2 4 cell structure. And after third mitosis, what's happening? This is very important topic for your exam. After third mitosis we are getting 8 cell structure, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. This is a compact structure, all the cells remain closely arranged, so I should draw them so closely and they look like a ball. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. A compact ball like structure or mulberry like structure, sometimes it is called as mulberry, and it is a compact structure. So from 1 cell, 2 cell, and this is 4 cell, and this is 8 cell structure, okay. Up to this 8 cell structures, they are known, this process are known as compaction. That means all the cells are arranged together compactly, very closely. This is known as the compaction, right students? And 1, 2 and 3 cleavages have taken place. After the 8 cell structure, another mitosis, that means the 4th mitosis, and more or less on the 3rd day after fertilization. So 4th mitosis and day is 3rd. Mitosis 4th, day 3rd. On that day, what is happening students? All the cells become in from the 8 to 16 cell structure, and in the first stage they remain 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 and 16. First stage they remain like this, 16 cell structure, and this is known as the morula. What? Morula. And after that it becomes 2-layer structure, 1 2 3 4 5, you write randomly like this. That is inner cell mass and outer cell mass. This is the outer cell mass, sorry, and this is inner cell mass, outer cell mass and inner cell mass, and this stage is the after the morula, okay, outer cell mass and inner cell mass, and it is happening in the isthmus area. We are getting the 16 cell structure and its name is morula, where the isthmus of the fallopian tube. Now after 3rd day, that means the 4th day is coming, and on the 4th day, and when it is in the morula stage, the corona radiata is degenerated, and on the 4th day they come. I am erasing this student. On the 4th day, what's happening? Suppose this is our morula. Students, our morula is on the 3rd day, and on the 3rd day the corona radiata is degenerated. After that, after the 3rd day, the morula comes down to the uterine cavity, that means it is on the 4th day. And what happens? The fluid from the uterine cavity enters the morula, right? And it becomes larger in size, but the cells are smaller. Mind it, as it is cleavage, the cells are smaller in size, because in the cleavage the cells become smaller in size, but the size of the cells become larger because due to the deposition of nutritional fluid from the uterine cavity, and the cells arranged in the proper two layers. The outer one is outer cell mass, and inner one is known as the inner cell mass. Each cell of this structure is known as the blastomere. Each cell is known as the blastomere, and the full structure is known as the blastocyst, because it has undergone another mitotic division, that means the cleavage, and now it is from 16 to it is now 32. It is now 32 cell structure, and it is known as blastocyst. Each cell of the blastocyst is known as blastomere. I should draw the structure quite larger so that you can understand properly. This is the blastocyst, because students, sometimes you may be asked in the exam to write about the blastocyst, and if you give this figure with the definition, then you can score a good mark in your exam. So I am explaining this in details. These are the outer cell mass. These are the outer cell mass, and these are the inner cell mass. And this is 32 cell structure. Because morula was 16, from 16 cell after cleavage, that means here another cleavage is taking place, we are getting 32 cell structure. And the outer flattened cells are known as trophoblast. T-R-O-P-H-O, trophoblast, B-L-A-S-T. This is known as the trophoblast, and each cell of the blastocyst is known as the blastomere. Blastomere. And here all the fluids become confluent, that means get together and make a cavity. This cavity is known as the blastocele. And all the inner cells they remain together, and they locate in one single pole, and these cells are known as the embryoblast or embryoblast. Embryoblast. Okay, students, and this pole where all the cells get together, this pole is known as the embryonic pole. And the opposite pole is known as the abembryonic pole. This pole is the embryonic pole, right? And from the trophoblast we will get the embryonic membrane of the placenta, and from the embryoblast we will get the proper embryo, and after that division or the differentiation or timing of the division, pattern of the division will be different, and this part will give rise the embryo, and this part will give rise the placenta of the embryo, and it happens on the 4th day after fertilization. Now it is on the uterine cavity. Okay, blastocyst. 4th day is completed. After that, the blastocyst go inside the wall of the body of the uterus. That means here. I am erasing now. The blastocyst was here. Now it go inside the wall of the body of the uterus, and it become attached with this structure. It attaches with the wall of the body of the uterus. So, can you say the process? This is known as, the name of the process is implantation. What is implantation? Implantation is the placement of the blastocyst in the wall of the body of the uterus, and the timing is 5th to 10th day. 5th to 10th day, because morula was in the 3rd day, blastocyst was on the 4th day, and the implantation will be 5th to 10th day. Biologically, it is found that from the 5th to 10th day implantation is taken place, but the approved one is 7th day. Approved one is the 7th day. So morula 3rd day, blastocyst 4th day, implantation 7th day. Embedded in the wall of the body of the uterus. These structures, the embryo start developing, and it turns into a complete human body. Student, this was about the development of the embryo in the human body, female, that means in the female body. I think you have understood all the topic. If there is any problem, write in the comments section, and again, if there is any problem, watch the video again and again. We are always with you to help. We'll be meeting in the next one, in the next class. Till today, take care. See you later.